can beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
Gets running loose. Reavis can't wait.
Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride.
The official Jets podcast is presented by Kendra Scott, the jewelry company that's shining bright and doing good. Personalize your game day look by shopping spirited styles and so much more at your local Kendra Scott store or kendrascott.com, where team spirit meets personal style. Happy Thanksgiving, gentlemen.
Bah humbug.
Happy Thanksgiving, Bart. EA, good to get. It's good time of the year right here, man. Football and family and food. I mean, it's good stuff.
Man, you said it right. So, what do you guys have to have as far as food is concerned on Thanksgiving?
I mean, I need as much bird as I can get. Bird stuffing, gravy, cranberries. Like I can eat all that, and pumpkin pie. I mean, I could go 2, 3, 4 helpings of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you start off with your main meal, but then you pretty much snack for the rest of the night. I mean, give me gravy, sage, sausage, dressing. I can go with the bird as long as I got a good gravy. Every once in a while, I can go with some Hawaiian rolls. You know what I mean? To be able to sup up that gravy, you know what I'm saying? Got to cook it in the oven, put butter on top of it, get a nice little crisp little top on it so I got a little crunch. And then for me, it's the banana pudding peach cobbler, you know what I'm saying, and sweet potato pie.
I'm calling an audible at the line of scrimmage. I'm going with steak this year. How about
Steak?
that?
No way.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Well, why,
Okay.
why don't you just go prime rib?
Maybe a little filet.
Ah,
Okay. Hey, also, let's talk about Baldy's wardrobe since he's joining us.
styling
remotely.
and profiling.
Hey,
Styling and profiling.
Roger Goodell would approve of that one. That's the Letterman's
Yeah,
jacket, the NFL.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this thing is the most comfortable thing. Like it's so lightweight and like it's almost like a sweater, but it just has the right look to it, man. I'm not taking it off until probably Super Bowl Sunday. I'm gonna wear it every day.
We can't get that swag to Roger. We gotta get that to Pete Rozelle. You know what I'm saying? That's old school right there. You know what I'm saying? That's that Gene Upshaw
That's
special.
the old school emblem right there, Bart.
Yeah,
You're right.
you know what I'm saying?
No doubt about that. Okay, guys, let's talk Jets. What do Jets fans have to be thankful for at this point of the year? Bart?
Well, for me, it's the beginning of what, like the puzzle starting to come together, right? I feel like they started, putting the corners to the puzzle together. Now they're starting to fill the inside out, right? You saw what Mechie can do for this team. He can kind of be in that Ross St. Brown type of mode. He's a great slot receiver. He can run the over routes. And then also you talk about I Mitchell, right, providing some deep help. And these are all things that are like, you're thankful for because they came out of nowhere, right? These are unexpected things. And those are the things that you enjoy the most, things that are unexpected because you appreciate them better. When you buy something, you find something, or you plan to get something, you like it, but, it was a necessity, right? This was something that was an extra add-on, a bonus.
I'll go to the other side of the ball, Bart. I'll take Jawan Briggs.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Harrison Phillips.
Yeah.
I feel like, the interior with Jamie and along with Quincy, I feel like the interior of this defense, and to a degree, the rookie safety, Malachi, like I feel like they're starting to build this thing the right way from the inside out. And it's interesting to me, Bart, because we could talk about the loss of Sauce or Quinn, and they're very good players in their own right. And they're playing well in their respective new homes. But to me, defense, Bart, isn't about great players. It's about how they play together.
Correct.
And I felt like for those first 30 minutes, that defense played really well together. And they played as one unit. And, whether they were supposed to be in this gap or make this tackle, like they curtailed a really good offense with a lot of star power. And I thought that was encouraging if we're looking to the future here.
Is it just me? But with
It probably is.
But with this accumulation of the fatties that they got, right? I forgot the fat boy they got last week. It feels to me that this team will be better served maybe in the future moving to a 3-4 team. I mean, we talk about the big fatties. If you can go out and get you a great, 5 technique, a guy that can shoot the gap, penetrate, and now you're impenetrable, and now you can keep just 2 middle linebackers in the inside and be stout against the run, where you talk about like Sherwood and Quincy, and be able to have a nice 5 technique that can shoot off and shoot the gaps, because now you got 2 space eaters and they're going to eat 2 double teams up. So you're going to get one-on-ones if you go to a 3-4 team on the outside with Sherwood and Will McDonald. And they're athletic enough to be able to get back and drop it to the hook curl, the curl flats, and things of that sort. Much like we were when we were here, they're just taking the place of Brian Thomas and Calvin Pace.
Mm-hmm.
Baldy, why is it clicking defensively right now? Because you just mentioned the Jets traded perhaps their two most talented players on that side of the ball, Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. And a lot of people were wondering, hey, what is this actually going to look like? And we saw them against the Patriots. Patriots had, I believe, 27 carries, 65 yards. And then you're talking about the Ravens. I know Lamar Jackson has been hobbled, but 241 yards, 4.2 yards per play, 211 on third down. I mean, what's clicking?
Well, a couple things. First of all, every defense, and Bart, can like chime in here, but I mean, every defense, I don't care if it's a 3-4, 4-3, I don't care. Every defense is a gap defense. And you watch, if you're going to stop Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and the beast that those two guys are, you better be in your gaps to start with. Now, they're great individual talents. Patrick Ricard can get a great block at the point and Derrick Henry rip one off. That's going to happen. But I feel like the communication, and you can see it pre-snap, the communication is excellent. They're coming downhill, like Rex used to say, Bart, when I was hanging around down there in Baltimore, like you back up, you give it up, you step up, you clean it up. I felt like guys were stepping up and cleaning it up and not giving runways to Lamar and to Derrick Henry last week. I thought they gang tackled, just not one guy going to Derrick's. I felt like it was like rat-a-tat-tat-tat. There was a lot of hats to the ball, EA. And it was like really encouraging to watch. Short yardage, it didn't matter if they were in the middle of the field, short yardage. They were where they were supposed to be. And that's one sign that the communication has been really, really good.
Man, I thought that was an interesting point that Baldy just made, Bart, that I want you to touch upon, is that he said playing elite defense is not necessarily about having great players. It's playing together as a unit.
I mean, you talk about selfless football, right? Everybody understand it. First of all, you have to know your role. Second of all, you have to embrace your role. And then two, you have to be selfless. And I think you have all that, especially when it starts with Harrison Phillips and Briggs and the inside, holding the jump throughs to get to the linebackers. I think now that you have guys that, and not that Quinnen was this because he was dynamic against the run too, but, these guys are much bigger. So they're just naturally space eaters. You just don't run by them. Even when you try and bump them and chip up to the second level, they're much bigger guys. And this is allowing the linebackers, this is one of the strengths of that defense, to kind of fast flow and not really, have to handle the physicality of taking on guards and walking off, being able to disengage from blocks and stuff like that. So I think now everybody understands their roles, and, now we just have to see the guys on the outside be able to kind of to flourish a little bit more. I thought, they could have left a little more.
Baldy, can you speak to what Darren Muji has done to this roster post-training camp? Because you're talking about, and Bart and I were just discussing this before, 22% of this roster right now was acquired after training camp. And they include the guys you are talking about. You both are talking about Mechie and Mitchell, and then on the other side of the ball, Brownlee and Harrison Phillips and then Jawan Briggs. I mean, all these guys after training camp.
Well, a couple things, EA. First of all, just all the guys you just mentioned. Like, I don't feel like these guys are rentals. I feel like Brownlee is going to be part of this roster. He's a good football player. He can play a variety of roles. And that's just one example. But I feel like the guys they brought in aren't rentals the way they are in some teams that are trying to compete. Like, this is part of the core. And then it kind of says a lot about training camp. Like, you can scrimmage and you can play these games. You don't really find out a lot about players until you get out there in the games and start playing. All the penalties they were committing early on in the year, there's still too many defensive penalties, giving up, pass interference calls where you're just panicking with the ball in the air. But I feel like they've identified the type of player that they want, and they brought those guys in. And I just think good organizations, I mean, the Eagles are a prime example. Like, you never sit tight. You're always looking to upgrade the roster, and they've made a lot of moves. Some of them, are for the future. But I think, in the Sauce Gardner trade, like, to get A.D. Mitchell and to get, a half a season look at him at wide receiver to see if he can be a guy that can be number 2 to Garrett or 1A or 1B, whatever. Like, I think those are value picks. And I thought there was a solid job of scouting and really understanding like who some of these guys are and how they could fit in.
Bart, how beneficial is it to have a guy like Phillips, not only what he brings on the field, but in terms of his leadership? We were talking about this before as well, that he said that earlier this week that, hey, you may have beat me yesterday. You may beat me today. Hell, you may beat me tomorrow, but at the end, I'm going to be the one on top.
It's like a quote from inside of the mystical Snapple top. You flip that thing over. But listen, for me, like he reminds me of, or he's our version of Mike DeVito, or he's he's the Raven version when I was there of Kelly Gregg, right? He's a guy that's really selfless, that gets more joy out of his teammates being successful than he is out of himself, right? And that's why I always say defensive linemen are special people because they don't get the glory, they don't get the statistics, but you can't win without them. You can't win without them sacrificing themselves like pieces on the chessboard for you to be able to run and get all the glory, get all the tackles, get the statistics. But he's one of those guys, these unsung hero type of guys that's going to do their job at a high level, and that inspires you to do their job at a high level, your job at a high level.
Baldy, the Jets are 2-9, and Harrison Phillips is playing banged up. I mean, you see him after the games, he's got a boot on his foot, and he's going out there and producing and showing his teammates. He doesn't even have to say anything. He's showing his teammates what it means to him. And Briggs, this might be a real find for the Jets, though. What are you seeing from him physically for stopping the run and also pass rushing? You go, Bart.
Yeah. I mean, I like him. He's real bouncy. I've always said that. He's a shorter guy, but he's real bouncy, got a lot of wiggle to him. He's active. And, he plays with high intensity, high effort. And you always want guys like that on your team, guys with tremendous motors. And he's one of those guys. And, I think that, when you talk about Briggs, you talk not so much Phillips, because I think people respect Phillips and Phillips had a name, but guys like Briggs, guys like Ionai Mitchell, guys like Mechie, right? These are guys that have just been waiting for an opportunity. It's not that they're not good football players. They just found themselves between a rock and a hard place. And they come here with the Jets, and they're like, hey, these people, I'm a leading man here. I'm a guy that they value. I'm a guy that they need. And it feels good to be wanted, right? And when you think about, they were just a luxury where they were, right? Mechie was a luxury sitting there behind, Dotson and Brown and Goddard and Saquon. Like, when do I get to eat, right? So he gets the scraps. Right, and you think about AD. I know they don't like AD, so Ionai Mitchell. Yeah, Adonai Mitchell, same thing. He's sitting behind Pierce. He's sitting behind Downs. He's sitting behind Pittman. Now Ty Warren comes in and Jonathan Taylor's doing his thing. Like, I want to eat. I'm good. I can make things happen too. So now he gets an opportunity, and I think they're taking advantage of their opportunity. I love the route concepts by Extra and last week and all the things they were doing to sell routes, guys playing a role, running guys off, Mitchell coming underneath, pretty much making sell routes all the time, different concepts of getting there when you got levels there. And I thought Tyrod was the perfect complement because he hit him in rhythm and timing, and now I can really evaluate what these guys are because, that you have a quarterback that's getting the ball out on time and in rhythm. And the offense, I'm excited to see how he can continue to coordinate because I think he's got access with Tyrod behind the center to the entire play.
Baldy, these guys love Mechie. They say he's the first guy in the building every morning. He's catching, from the jugs. And then you got the veteran quarterback that Bart just talked about. Now, Tyrod has sought these guys out, Mechie and Mitchell, and said, hey, I know you guys just got in the building. I'm going to help you with the playbook, and we're going to discuss what I'm looking at, what I see, and also the way you're going to be running your routes.
Well, you have to look at, like, Mechie, what happened to him at Alabama, with the knee injury and missing a year and never really catching on in Houston and coming to the Eagles and never getting a chance, to Bart's point. You can't evaluate any of these players until they play. I mean, Mechie gets a real chance to play on Sunday. He catches 6 balls. He catches the touchdown. He was open throughout the time. He knew how to get open. And so all players want to build a resume. They all want to put their stats on the page and put their stamp on their ability. Like, some guys come in through the front door. Some guys got to go through the back door and they got to climb, and I feel like Mechie's maybe one of those guys, and maybe he has a chance to flourish here. We see it all the time. We see it all the time with guys, that just get a chance. Briggs, I feel like the way that he escaped Voorhees at the end of that pass rush for his third sack this year, like that's a good escape at the end to get Lamar down. You put that feather in your cap. And so I like seeing guys that look hungry because they're taking advantage of the opportunity and they know that they haven't gotten that in other places, and so you never know what a guy can do until they get a chance to actually go out there and really play, not just mop up duty or not just, because you're in there this week because this guy's hurt. Like you're getting a real legitimate chance to grow week to week to week right now.
Yeah, Bart, Harrison was telling me the other day that Briggs got really high football IQ, so they're able to operate pre-snap and discuss, okay, this is the way we're going to rush, this is the way we're going to team it, this is the way the ball might be going and things like that. So that's very encouraging. Let's go back to Mitchell for a second. As far as his routes, we know oversimplification. Dude is fast, but what are you seeing from him as a route runner? Because he's turning people around. He's got people on skates right now. Mitchell.
Well, he's separated from Woodsie on that, that in cut that he ran. And what I liked about the in cut was it was sharp, but he came back to the ball to catch it. That tells me something. I see so many guys just drift when they make that cut, and they drift right into coverage. Like he ran away from the coverage. Like he has an idea. He comes from a top flight program that develops wide receivers at University of Texas there. I mean, all these guys have flourished. And so you would think that he's been trained the right way. He's played at the highest level in college. And so you see some of that. I mean, if Terod could have, gotten that ball down the field, I mean, he could run right by people, on go routes. And that's such a big part of whether you throw that ball to him or not. It opens up windows on, like Bart's point, to the sail routes and everything else when you can clear out like that.
Bart, a lot of skill position talent here. You're talking about these guys are all under 25, and they're all under contract next year, whether that be Matchy, Mitchell, of course. At the top of that depth chart is Garrett Wilson. You've had a really solid rookie season from Mason Taylor, of course. Breece Hall, we'll have to see what happens with him. I don't want to talk contract stuff, but I will say that he's having his best professional year in this offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to consider Breece as part of the core, right? And the fact that they wouldn't give him up for a third-round draft pick means that he is probably under consideration for the future. I think no matter you have a young quarterback, a veteran quarterback, any type of quarterback, the perfect complement is a dual threat, running back. And I think we're going to see that on the other side of the ball when we see the Atlanta Falcons this week. You're going to see a guy that can help their quarterback out of any situation. You saw Breece, another example. I know he had to fumble, but you saw the easy dump off pass. The check down goes there, and he makes something special happen. That's high, low risk, high reward type stuff there. Like the Jets and what they did with being able to with the trades to get all the draft equity. Like, I think next year, if they go out for one of these high-end receivers and they add it to that room, and that high-end receiver gets in the competitive room with Mitchell, with Mechie, with Breece, with Garrett, I mean, that's just going to raise their level even faster because now you got young, talented guys that you're ready to compete with and keep up with. And I mean, in short order, man, with the ability to hit free agency and the ability to hit the draft, the Jets can have, arguably, in my opinion, one of the top offenses in the league in a short order because they're not missing much. That offensive line opens the door for a lot of stuff. And I think with on the other side, when you have Mason, I mean, I would love to see them bring in a veteran tight end that he can learn from too. I mean, man, it's so many possibilities, and I think that's what the Jets did when they made those trades. They gave themselves options in the future to build the team the way that Aaron Glenn and Muji decides to build it.
Yep. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to dive into Jets Falcons Sunday at MetLife Stadium. Jets fans, your Black Friday offer is here. Get tickets to remaining home games and lock in field access using code BF2025 at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Buy now at nyjets.com/tickets. The official Jets podcast is presented by Kendra Scott, the jewelry company that's shining bright and doing good. Personalize your game day look by shopping spirited styles and so much more at your local Kendra Scott store or kendrascott.com, where team spirit meets personal style. All right, Baldy, how about this for dessert? You have Breece Hall, 9th in the National Football League yards from scrimmage. You got Bijan Robinson, 3rd in the league in terms of yards from scrimmage. These backs are going to be fun to watch on Sunday.
Yeah, and the change of pace back, in Atlanta, Tyler Algier is a very talented player. So it's a 1-2 combination. That's what they do best. Kirk Cousins is the quarterback now with Penix out, and he doesn't have the arm that he once had. So they're going to lean heavy, and Bijan is a guy that can line up at receiver. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He's a home run hitter. He's all those things. And it's a disappointing season to this point, for the Falcons. They were expected to have a much better record at this point. I saw Bryce Young throw for 452 yards against them 2 weeks ago, and we saw what Bryce Young looked like last night against San Francisco. I mean, they just broke down. But, Bijan is a guy that you have to build your game plan around to stop right now. Kirk Cousins isn't going to go anywhere. You keep him in the pocket, but Bijan is a guy that they'll find as many different ways to get him the ball because he's their number one playmaker. Drake London, don't get me wrong, he's their go-to guy in the passing game. But Bijan, you gotta really focus. It's a good offensive line. They've got Pro Bowlers up there. Lindstrom's been a Pro Bowler at right guard. They're a solid group up front. But that's they've got the work cut out for them with Bijan.
Couple key points here, Bart. Drake London might be out of the lineup for a second consecutive game. We're taping on Tuesday. We'll see what happens. But Bijan, you played linebacker at a high level in this league. You guys talk about team defense. He's going to get his yards that time. How do you make sure he doesn't ruin the game?
You can't allow him to circle the defense, right? And you saw last week against the Saints, he circled the defense, press hard to the right side of the line, and they got the down blocks. And then he has the ability, like Saquon Barkley spoke, he's the best cutting back in all of football. He gives you a little bit of Reggie Bush as far as his catching ability and his route running, but he also gives you that smoothness and power of LT. Right, his ability to cut, change direction, run in between the tackles. He's bigger than you think, and he's a natural ball catcher. Right, you look at the flavor of the month this year is like the one-man screen where they bubble like a receiver out or a tight end out, and they throw a swing pass, and that's like the lead blocker. Man, Demario Davis doesn't clap his ankle. I mean, he's taken off for a 70-yard touchdown. You saw it last week with Shedeur Sanders, same type of concept. What teams are doing is putting their athletes in space and forcing your guys to make really, really difficult tackles. And if one guy isn't on his game plan, then those can be home run balls.
Baldy, interesting game from Cousins last week. He had a pair of touchdown passes. He also threw a pick six, and he was sacked 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Kirk Cousins last year, like he was just hanging on. Like that arm is not the same. He can't drive the ball the way he once did. I think he can still make good decisions with the ball. I think he still sees coverages and knows where to go. I just don't think he can actually get the ball there. I mean, it's just wear and tear over how many years it's been for Kirk now. But that's what they have. That's what they have to live with those things. They had to live with it last year. That's why they went to Penix late in the year last year, because he just, he wasn't helping them win games. And so he's going to put up a couple for grabs, and you just got to, they don't have an interception this season. And so it's about time somebody comes down with one. He's going to overthrow somebody, throw up behind him. It's going to get tipped. Like, it's about time the Jets come down with an interception in a game. They can't go 12 games without getting an interception. You get that by accident. Like, if I'm studying Kirk Cousins, I'm thinking this is the week we're going to get rid of that goose egg in that column and get one or two, because he's going to put them up for grabs.
Tips and overthrows, got to get those. Other side of the ball, Tyrod Taylor going to make his second consecutive start for the green and white, the veteran quarterback. What do you see in Baltimore? And then, Bart, as far as moving forward, when you look at a Jeff Ulbrich-led defense, we're familiar with not so much the personnel here with the Jets, but what he likes to do.
Well, this isn't your typical Atlanta Falcons defense. I think they got some guys in Walker and Pierce that can actually get to the passer, right? They have a little bit of a pass rush now. They have an elite corner on the outside. But this is also a team that you can. I don't know what it is about Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young averages like 450 yards of offense every time they see him. Like, I just need to look at that tape. But I think you have to run the football, right? And I think you have to establish the run and set up the play action. I mean, I think this is a defense that can be got, but you have to be disciplined and understand you can't have any, unforced errors or unforced turnovers. But this defense is not something that they faced a tougher defense, a more complex defense last week. I think there's an opportunity for them to establish the run and continue to get chemistry with those wide receivers. I like to see Mason involved a little bit more this week as well.
Well, statistically, Atlanta has struggled against the run, and Bart talked about it before. Man, Brees is such a weapon in the pass game, and he had 4 receptions for 70-plus yards last week. You get him in an open field, man, it can be lights out.
Yeah, I mean, I like the concept that they had last week on the 40-yard, basically check down screen. When they run them through the line like that, guys can kind of get lost a little bit. It was a good concept by Tanner on that particular play. But, they don't have the big hogs up front. Onyemata, like you could go through all the guys, Dorless. Like they don't have, like this Jets offensive line has a chance to really establish and really win in the trenches. Amembu's been playing great, but I feel like this is a week because I don't think you want to get in passing situations with Pierce and Jalen Walker and some of these guys. And even, with the blitz concepts that, that they have, like I feel like this is a game where you can really win on the ground and you can really have some ball control. And this is not the Ravens where they've got, some of Travis Jones and some of these big, huge guys up front that are hard to move. Like, I think this is, a team that you can run the ball on. And I think that Brees and Isaiah should have a good day. Like, I expect, one of those days that's come out of nowhere a couple times this year where they run for 180, 200 yards. And not just because the quarterback is scrambling. I think they legitimately can put up a big number, with 30-plus runs on Sunday.
Final thoughts here. Bart, the Jets are playing a better brand of football. The scores did not indicate that. A 13-point loss in consecutive weeks here, double digits to the Patriots and then the Ravens. But I agree with what Aaron Glenn has said, that 4 or 5 plays go the other way, we're winning those ball games. Well, you're not playing the Patriots this week. You're not playing Baltimore this week. You're playing an Atlanta team that's 4-7. Next week, you have Miami coming in to start December. They're 4-7. You go to Jacksonville, who's been a little bit up and down. I know they're about 500 right now, and then you go to New Orleans, who's 2-9. And I know New Orleans is looking at you as a get-right game themselves. But my point on this is, do you guys think that if the Jets continue to take the strides that we're seeing right now, that we saw in New England, that we saw in Baltimore, that they can get some wins here?
I mean, I believe that, they should be able to win some of these games. And I talk about really what you're trying to build is continuity and consistency because, you had different, starting quarterbacks. As of right now, it seems like Tyrod is going to be as long as he's healthy, he's going to be the starting quarterback. So this allows you to, get some chemistry off of each other, to be able to talk about what happened last week and say, well, last week when this happened, I prefer you to do this. And you start seeing the game the same way. Then you start having that nonverbal communication where you can not only read the words and understand the words that's come from your teammates, but the body language, the lean and all that stuff, getting to know your receivers, getting to know your running backs, getting comfortable with Tyrod's cadence, getting used to what 7-step drop is for him versus a 5-step drop, what that depth really is as a tackle, so I can know how far I have to block my guy before I start to try and get him to turn the corner, around the corner. So that's what I like. I like the fact that this offensive line has played together, for the majority of the year, hasn't been a lot of injuries, knock on wood, and the fact that they're able to get that communication. So when, somebody shifts or somebody does a line stunt, you all see it at the same time, the same way, because you didn't have time to communicate it verbally. That's what I'm excited about, and see if they can continue building the brand of football that they want to play, and they can get some of this collective experience together.
Real quick here, yeah. I mean, look, if Brees doesn't get the ball ripped out of his hands at the goal line by Marlon Humphrey, it's a 2017 game. Yeah. And, with a lot of time left in the fourth quarter. Yeah. That's last week. But I would like, this is a holiday weekend. Whoever comes out to Jet Stadium this weekend, I mean, hopefully it's going to be packed. I mean, they're sitting there going, who are we? Like, they just want to see, they know what bad football looks like. They'd like to see good looking football, a team that can run the ball, a team that can stop the run, a team that, might be able to take the ball away, make a couple big plays with some of these new guys. They're just looking for a reason to get excited, and so you're at home this weekend. All right. You've had these games where you were close. It was all that kind of stuff in the second half. Like, go show these Jet fans a win on Thanksgiving weekend here, and I think you'll hear a pretty good, a pretty resounding, faithful. Like, give them a nice little pat on the back. That'd be a good feeling for these kids at the Jets.
Well said, boys. Blessings to you guys and your respective families. And we thank everybody who's been tuning in all year long. Here's the thing. Jets are ascending. It's happening. It's going to take some time. But, I mean, as far as the short term, you got some wins on the schedule. Hopefully it starts Sunday. Thanks, boys.